Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like your own mind was working against you? Like no matter how hard you try, there's this inner voice that whispers doubt, fear, or excuses, pulling you back every time you're about to break through. You know what I'm talking about? That little voice that says, you're not ready, you're not good enough. Maybe tomorrow. The truth is, your mind can either be your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. Here's the shocking part. Most people walk through life being prisoners of their own thoughts, never realizing they hold the master key to freedom. But imagine, just for a moment, if you could flip that switch. Imagine if instead of fear, you felt certainty. Instead of hesitation, you felt unstoppable drive. Instead of waking up drained, you woke up on fire with your mind working for you instead of against you. That's what this is about today. Not theories, not motivational fluff. Real technique that, if you apply it, can help you take control of your inner world. Because the truth is, if you don't master your mind, it will master you. And I promise you this, if you stay with me until the end, you won't just learn a concept. You'll walk away with the power to rewire how you think, how you feel, and ultimately how you live. You can't change what you're not aware of. Think about that for a moment. How many times in your life have you caught yourself saying, why does this always happen to me? Maybe it's a relationship that keeps falling apart the same way, or you find yourself in financial stress over and over. You start something with passion and energy, but somehow never follow through. If you've ever felt stuck in a repeating cycle, it's not because you're weak or broken or incapable. It's because there's a pattern running beneath the surface. Until you become aware of it, it will keep running your life. Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, hit the snooze button, scroll through their phone, feel the same worries they felt yesterday, get triggered by the same things, eat the same foods, complain about the same problems, and then wonder why nothing changes. It's not because they don't want more. It's not because they aren't capable of more. It's because their mind is conditioned to repeat what is familiar, what is empowering. And unless you interrupt that unconscious loop, it will keep stealing your future. Awareness is the light that exposes the wiring of your mind. Until you shine that light, you're walking through life in the dark, bumping into the same walls again and again. The moment you bring awareness to a thought, to a belief, to a behavior, you take the first step toward freedom. And it doesn't take years of analysis. It can happen in an instant. It's the moment you stop and say, wait a minute, why do I always react this way? Why do I always believe this story about myself? Who told me this was the truth? That question, that pause, is the opening. Think of your mind like a river. For years, has carved pathways through the rocks, creating grooves. The longer the water flows in that direction, the deeper the groove becomes. That's your thoughts, your habits, your emotions. They carve grooves in your brain. And here's the thing, you don't even have to try anymore. The water just flows that way naturally. But awareness is like putting a dam in that river for a moment. It interrupts the automatic flow and gives you a chance to redirect it. Without awareness, the river just keeps carving deeper, and you call it my personality, or just the way I am, but it's not who you are, it's just a pattern. One of the greatest gifts awareness gives you is the power of choice. Without it, you're reacting. With it, you can respond. Without it, you're a prisoner of your past. With it, you can become the architect of your future. Most people don't even realize they're hypnotized by their own thoughts. They wake up already rehearsing their limitations. Tired. I'm not good at this. People don't respect me. Nothing ever changes. And they call that reality. But reality is not what you think it is. Reality is what you repeatedly focus on and feel. Awareness is the moment you catch yourself in that hypnosis and say, no, this isn't the truth. This is just a thought. This is just a habit. This is not me. Here's what happens when you build awareness. The same situation that used to trigger you no longer owns you. Let's say someone criticizes you. Before awareness, maybe you'd spiral, get defensive, shut down, or overreact. But with awareness, you catch it in the moment. You notice your heart rate spike. You notice your jaw clench. You notice the thought, they don't respect me. And instead of going down that road, you pause. That pause is everything. That pause is freedom. Because in that pause, you get to choose it. Do I want to give my power to this? Or do I want to respond differently? That's mastery. Awareness also reveals the lies you've been telling yourself for years. How many times have you said, I'm not enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have the resources. I'll never be like them. You've probably repeated these thoughts so often they feel like facts. But when you bring awareness to them, you start questioning. Says who? Where did I learn this? Convince me of this story. You realize most of the limitations you carry weren't even yours to begin with. They were handed to you by parents, teachers, society, past failures. And you've been dragging them around like heavy luggage. Awareness is the moment you set it down and say, I don't need to carry this anymore. Think of a time when you achieved something you once thought was impossible. Maybe it was getting through a tough exam, building a business, breaking through a fear, standing up for yourself. In that moment, you shattered an old pattern. You brought awareness to a limitation and proved it wrong through action. That's the power you already have. The question is, how often are you going to use it? It's in a blue moon when circumstances push you, or every day by training yourself to be conscious of what's going on inside your head. Here's the truth: awareness is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, You might only notice after the fact. You might catch yourself saying, damn, I reacted again. I fell into the same trap. That's okay. Celebrate the fact that you noticed, because yesterday you wouldn't have even seen it. Then as you build this muscle, you start catching it in the moment. You hear the thought, I can't do this. And you interrupt it before it becomes your reality. Eventually you start catching it before it even shows up. That's mastery. That's when you become proactive instead of reactive. You see, awareness is not about judgment. It's not about labeling yourself as good or bad. It's about becoming the witness of your own mind. When you can step back and observe your thoughts, instead of drowning in them, you gain leverage. You stop identifying with every emotion, every story, every impulse. You realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the thinker. I am not my emotions. I am the one who feels them. If I am the thinker and the feeler, then I have the power to choose what I think and what I feel. That realization alone can transform your entire life. Because once you understand that your mind is a tool, not your master, you stop being enslaved by it. And the first step in that journey, the first crack in the armor of old patterns, is awareness. Without it, nothing changes. With it, everything becomes possible. So when we talk about mastering your mind, don't think of it as some complicated science. Think of it as a practice of simply noticing, catching the thought, catching the feeling, catching the pattern, and choosing again. Because the moment you see it, you no longer have to be it. And the moment you realize that, you begin the journey of true mastery. Once you become aware of the patterns running your life, the next step is to reprogram them. Awareness is like flipping on the light in a dark room. You finally see the mess, but seeing the mess alone won't clean it up. You've got to take deliberate action to create new wiring, new associations, new meaning inside your mind. Your brain is like software. Think about it runs programs all day long. Some of those programs serve you. They push you to grow, to love, to create. But a lot of them were installed years ago without your permission. They've been slowing you down ever since. Some of these programs come from childhood, things a parent said when they were frustrated, a teacher's criticism, a failure that left a scar. The brain didn't stop and ask, is this belief empowering or destructive? It just hit record and saved it. And ever since, it's been playing on repeat. That's why people can work so hard, push so much, hustle every day, and still end up in the same place. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your patterns. If the unconscious software running your mind is programmed with fear, doubt, procrastination, or scarcity, then no matter what you consciously want, your actions will always get hijacked by the deeper code. And this is why reprogramming is not optional if you want to live an extraordinary life. Now, how do you actually do it? You rewire your mind the same way you wired it in the first place, through repetition, emotion, and association. Think about a song you know by heart. You didn't memorize it by studying the lyrics once. You heard it over and over, maybe hundreds of times. You felt something while listening. That emotion and repetition locked it into your nervous system. Your beliefs work the exact same way. If you've told yourself, I'm not enough, for 20 years, that's not a truth. It's just a playlist you've heard so many times you can sing it in your sleep. But here's the breakthrough. You can change the playlist. You can reprogram the mind with something new, something empowering, something that drives you instead of drains you. And it starts with interrupting the old pattern. You can't just let it run unchecked. You've got to catch it, stop it, and replace it. Every time that old thought shows up, I'm not ready. I'll never succeed. What if I fail? You have to disrupt it. You stand up, you shout no. If you have to, you change your body, you shift your state. You consciously feed your brain a new command. And here's where people get it wrong. They think changing their mind is about repeating affirmations once in a while, like whispering, I am strong, I am confident, once before bed and expecting their life to change. That's not how it works. You can't just sprinkle new seeds on top of weeds and expect a garden. You've got to rip out the old roots, plant new seeds, and water them every single day. You reprogram through intensity and consistency. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life believing they're shy and socially awkward. Every time they walk into a room, their mind runs the program, people are judging me. I'm not interesting. I don't belong. That pattern has been reinforced by years of repetition, so it feels real. But if that person catches it, interrupts it, and starts conditioning a new belief, I bring energy, I bring value. People love being around me. And they rehearse that with emotion every single day while moving their body differently, standing taller, breathing deeper, making eye contact. Do you think their brain is going to keep believing the old story forever? Not a chance. The nervous system rewires itself based on what you consistently tell it with feeling. Emotion is the key here. You can't just intellectually say, I'm confident. You've got to feel it, embody it, anchor it into your nervous system. If you speak it with zero energy, your brain won't buy it. But if you shout it, if you breathe it, if you move your body as if it's already true, your brain starts associating those emotions with the new belief. And the more you do it, it becomes natural, until one day you don't even have to think about it. It's just who you are. And isn't that what mastery really is? It's when the empowering pattern becomes your default. At first, it takes effort. It takes practice. Over time, it becomes automatic, just like driving a car. When you first learn, you have to consciously think about every move. But after enough repetition, it's second nature. Your beliefs, your habits, your emotions, same thing. Repetition and emotion rewire the code. But let's be honest, some of you listening have tried to change before and you failed. You told yourself, this year I'll lose the weight. This time I'll quit the habit. This time I'll start the business. And you did it for a few days, maybe a few weeks, but then the old pattern sucked you back in. Why? Because you didn't fully reprogram. You tried to fight the old code with willpower alone. Willpower always loses against the subconscious if you don't condition it. The subconscious mind is like a giant elephant and your conscious willpower is like a rider sitting on top. The rider can tug the reins and steer for a while. If that elephant decides to run in the direction it's used to, the rider doesn't stand a chance. Reprogramming is about training the elephant, not just yelling at it. And you train it with consistency, with energy, new experiences that anchor the new belief so deeply, the old one no longer fits. This is why rituals are so important. Daily practices that rewire your system, visualizing the outcome you want as if it's already here, asking yourself empowering questions every morning, moving your body with power, repeating new incantations with emotion, surrounding yourself with people who reinforce your new standards. Of these condition your nervous system until the new code runs automatically. Because here's the truth. If you don't deliberately program your mind, the world will do it for you. Media will fill your head with fear. Society will tell you what you can't do. Other people's limitations will become your limitations if you let them. But when you decide to be the programmer of your own mind, everything changes. You're no longer a product of your past. You become a product of your choices. And it doesn't matter how many years you've been running the old software. Change can happen fast. The moment you attach new meaning to an old pattern, the moment you condition your brain to associate pain with the old and pleasure with the new, everything shifts. Suddenly, the cigarettes no longer equal stress relief. They equal suffocation. Suddenly, the gym no longer equals pain. It equals freedom and energy. Suddenly, speaking up in a meeting no longer equals fear. It equals growth and impact. That's reprogramming. That's changing the code. And once you change the code, you change the results. Because remember, you don't get what you want. You get what your patterns allow. Change the pattern and you change your destiny. Now, once you've built awareness and started reprogramming your patterns, next level of mastery is understanding the power of your state. Your state is everything. It's the invisible force that shapes how you think, how you feel, and ultimately how you act in any given moment. If you're in a low state, care how smart you are, how much potential you have, or how big your dreams are, you won't use any of it. But if you can shift your state instantly, you unlock parts of yourself that were always there, but hidden behind stress, fear, or fatigue. Think about a time when you were exhausted, overwhelmed, maybe even hopeless. In that moment, your mind felt like it was dragging through mud. Every thought was heavy. Every decision felt impossible. And then think of another time when you were alive, passionate, laughing, connected. In that state, you had energy, clarity, creativity. You felt unstoppable. The difference between those two moments wasn't your skill set, wasn't your resources, wasn't your intelligence. It was your state. Most people think their state is controlled by circumstances. They say, I feel good when good things happen. I feel bad when bad things happen. If that's how you live, you're a slave to the external world. You've handed the keys of your mind and emotions to whatever situation you're in. That's why one small problem can ruin someone's entire day, because they haven't learned that they are the ones who generate their state, not the world around them. The secret is this: you don't have to wait for the world to line up perfectly for you to feel powerful. You can create that state right now in an instant, regardless of what's happening around you. And the fastest way to do it is through your physiology. Your body is the remote control for your mind. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you use your voice. Those are levers that instantly shift your state. Let me show you how powerful this is. Right now, if you slouch your shoulders, your head, breathe shallow and say to yourself in a weak voice, I don't know what to do, I'm tired, nothing works out for me. How do you feel? Of course you feel low. But if you stand up tall, pull your shoulders back, take a deep, powerful breath, look up, put energy in your body, and say with certainty, I've got this, I'm not stopping, I'm unstoppable. Do you feel the difference? Nothing in your external world changed. You didn't suddenly get more money, you didn't solve all your problems, you didn't get a new life, and yet your entire emotional world shifted in seconds because you changed your physiology. This is not theory, this is science. Your body and your mind are connected through a feedback loop. You change one, you change the other. That's why people who exercise regularly don't just look different, they think differently, they carry themselves differently. Their posture, their breath, their energy, all of it tells the brain, I'm alive, I'm strong, I'm ready. And the brain responds by producing different emotions, different chemicals, different thoughts. So many people try to change their life by only working on their thoughts. But if you're sitting slumped over, barely breathing, whispering affirmations like, I'm confident, I'm strong, I can do this, your brain doesn't believe you. Your body is telling it the opposite story. But when you engage your entire physiology, when you stand like a winner, breathe like a champion, move like you already own the moment, that's when the mind believes it, because the body is congruent with the thought. This is why shifting your state is the fastest way to shift your life. Because when your state changes, Your decisions change. When your decisions change, your actions change. And when your actions change consistently, your destiny changes. Think about it. How many times in your life have you made a poor decision simply because you were in a bad state? Maybe you said something you regretted in anger. Maybe you quit something because you were frustrated. Maybe you missed an opportunity because you were too tired to notice it. In a different state, with a different energy, you would have acted completely differently. So if you can master your state, you can master the quality of your decisions, and that means mastering the quality of your life. The key is not to wait for the right state to show up. It's to create it on demand. That's the skill. The world doesn't always cooperate. Circumstances don't always go your way. But if you can train yourself to access energy, focus gratitude, confidence at will, no matter what's happening, then you stop being a victim of life and start being the creator of it. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need an hour to do it. You don't even need 5 minutes. State change happens in seconds. That's why music can change your mood instantly. That's why jumping into cold water can jolt you awake. That's why a single breath, taken with intention, can reset your nervous system. State change is immediate if you're deliberate about it. So the question becomes, how often are you going to practice this? How often will you choose to interrupt a negative state and shift into a powerful one? Because the truth is, state is contagious. The way you show up doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. If you walk into a room with low energy, heavy posture, no eye contact, you drain the space. But if you walk in with energy, certainty, and presence, you elevate everyone. That's leadership. That's influence. And it starts with mastering your own state first. Some of you have been waiting for confidence to show up before you take action. You've been waiting for clarity, waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect conditions. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. And action is only possible when you put yourself in a state where fear no longer controls you. So stop waiting. Create the state, then take the action. That's how you build the momentum that changes everything. You've got to make this a daily practice. When you wake up, don't just stumble into your day. Prime yourself, move your body, breathe with power, speak with energy, yourself in the state of the person you want to be, not the person you were yesterday. Because if you let your old state run you, your old life will repeat itself. But if you condition a new state every morning, your entire world will shift to match it. That's the real secret. Your external world reflects your internal state. Change the state and you change what you attract, what you notice, what you act on. You stop seeing problems and you start seeing opportunities. You stop hesitating. You start executing. You stop doubting and you start believing. And all of that begins in a single breath, in a single shift of your body. So don't underestimate this. Don't dismiss it as too simple. People who create the most in life aren't the ones who never feel fear or doubt. They're the ones who know how to shift out of it faster than anyone else. That's mastery. That's power. That's how you take control of your mind, your emotions, your destiny. Because when you shift your state, you shift your mind. And when you shift your mind, you shift your entire life. Focus is the ultimate power. Whatever you consistently focus on, you feel. And whatever you feel, you act on. The quality of your life is the quality of where your focus lies. People think they live in the world, but in truth, they live in the world they focus on. Two people can face the exact same situation, yet one feels hopeless while the other feels unstoppable. Not because of the circumstance, but because of what they choose to focus on in that moment. If you always focus on what's missing, you will always feel a sense of lack, no matter how much you accomplish. If you always focus on what you can't control, you will always feel powerless, no matter how many opportunities are around you. But if you focus on what you do have, on what you can control, the possibilities in front of you, then suddenly life opens up. Possibilities expand, energy rises, action becomes natural. Here's the thing, your brain has a built-in filter system. It's called the reticular activating system. Its job is to decide, of the millions of bits of information around you every second, what's worth noticing. And what does it choose? It chooses what you tell it to focus on. It chooses what's consistent with your dominant thoughts. So if you constantly think about fear, problems, and limitations, your brain literally filters the world to show you more fear, more problems, more limitations. Not because they're the only things there, because your focus instructed your brain to find them. It's like buying a new car. Have you ever noticed that once you buy a certain model, suddenly you see it everywhere on the road? It's not that the cars just appeared. They were always there. But your brain wasn't programmed to notice them until you made them important. Life works the same way. Opportunities are always around you. Love is always around you. Possibilities are always around you. But if your focus is on what's missing or what could go wrong, your brain literally deletes everything else. So if focus is that powerful, the question becomes, what are you training yourself to focus on every day? Because focus is not random. Focus is trained. Most people let their focus drift wherever their environment pushes it. They wake up, grab their phone. Their focus gets hijacked by the news, by emails, by social media, by other people's agendas. By the time they've brushed their teeth, their mind has been programmed to focus on problems, comparisons, and distractions. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, overwhelmed, or unmotivated. But the people who master their mind take back control of their focus. They don't wait for the world to decide what they should pay attention to. They deliberately direct it. They ask, do I want to notice today? What do I want to magnify? What do I want to experience more of? Because whatever you focus on expands. Focus is like a magnifying glass. It makes small things big. Focus on gratitude. Suddenly your life feels abundant. Focus on what you can't control. And suddenly your problems feel enormous. Same life, different focus, completely different reality. Now let's get real. Have you ever been in a fight with someone you love? In that moment, all you could focus on was what they weren't giving you. You made a list in your mind of every time they disappointed you, every time they let you down. And the more you focused on it, the angrier you got. You probably said things you regretted later, but then maybe hours or days later, you shifted your focus. You remembered the times they supported you, the moments they loved you, the ways they stood by you when nobody else did. Same person, same relationship, but completely different feelings. Why? Because your focus shifted. And when your focus shifted, your emotions shifted. This is why focus is the real deciding factor in your relationships, your career, your health, your happiness, because it colors how you interpret everything. If you want to change how you feel about your life, change what you're focusing on in your life. But let's be clear, focus doesn't mean ignoring problems. It doesn't mean pretending challenges don't exist. It means focusing on solutions, focusing on what you can do, not what you can't, focusing on how you want things to be, not just how they are. It means using challenges as fuel instead of excuses. Problems aren't going away, but the meaning you attach to them comes from where you place your focus. If you focus on the pain, you'll feel stuck. If you focus on the possibility, you'll feel empowered. Here's another truth. Your focus doesn't just affect you in the moment, it rewires your mind long term. Every time you focus on gratitude, you're conditioning your brain to see more things to be grateful for. Every time you focus on solutions, you're training your mind to become resourceful, but every time you obsess over fear, worry, or anger, you're strengthening those neural pathways too. Your focus is literally sculpting your brain. And that means every day, with every thought, you're either programming your mind to limit you or liberate you. So what do you do to train your focus? You start asking better questions, because questions direct focus. Ask yourself, do bad things always happen to me? And your brain will give you a list of reasons. But ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this? What's good in this situation that I haven't noticed yet? And your brain will find answers to those too. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your focus, and the quality of your focus determines the quality of your life. It's also about building rituals of focus. Every morning, instead of diving into your phone, take a few minutes to ask, what am I grateful for today? What's exciting about today? Who do I want to show up as? What's the one thing I must focus on that will move my life forward? Those questions direct your focus toward empowerment. Do this consistently, and your brain starts automatically filtering the world in a way that serves you. And let me tell you, you shift your focus, your entire energy changes. You walk differently, you talk differently, you create differently. People feel it. That's why leaders, visionaries, and high achievers are so magnetic. It's not that they don't have problems. They probably have more problems than anyone else. But they've trained themselves to focus on vision, on growth, on solutions. And that focus radiates certainty and confidence. So ask yourself right now, has your focus been living? Have you been obsessing over what you can't control? Or are you focusing on what you can do, what you can give, what you can build? Because your life follows your focus. If you focus on fear, you'll live in fear. If you focus on growth, you'll live in growth. If you focus on love, you'll live in love. The truth is the world will always give you both problems and possibilities, pain and beauty, obstacles and opportunities. The question is, which one are you going to make your home? Because where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. Emotions run the show. You may think it's your logic that drives your choices, but the truth is it's emotion that decides what you do. You don't do what you go after and what you avoid. Emotions are the invisible force shaping the direction of your life, and yet most people are at war with their emotions. They try to suppress them, deny them, or numb them. Here's the reality. You cannot master your mind if you're constantly fighting the very signals it sends you. Your emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. They are your mind's way of communicating what matters, what needs attention, direction to take. Fear, anger, frustration, sadness, passion, excitement. Every one of them is feedback. And if you don't listen to that feedback, you're cutting yourself off from the very language your mind uses to guide you. Most people think emotions just happen to them like random weather patterns. They say things like, I just woke up in a bad mood. I just feel anxious today. I can't help being angry. But the truth is, emotions don't just appear from nowhere. Created, they are generated by what you focus on, by the meaning you attach to things, and by the state of your body. Change your focus, change the meaning, change your physiology, and the emotion changes instantly. But here's the catchy. If you don't understand your emotions, they will control you. And when you're controlled by emotions you don't understand, you make choices that sabotage your life. How many times have you snapped at someone you love, not because of who they are, because you were carrying unprocessed frustration from somewhere else? How many times have you quit too early because you mistook fear for a signal to stop when really it was just a signal to prepare? How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't learn to decode the emotion behind the moment? Let's take fear, for example. Most people see fear as a stop sign. They feel it and think, this means I shouldn't do it. This means I'm not ready. This means I'll fail. But that's not what fear means. Fear is simply your brain's way of saying, pay attention, be prepared, step up. It's a call to awareness, not a command to retreat. If you don't understand that, you'll shrink every time you feel fear, and your life will get smaller and smaller until you're stuck in a box of your own making. Or take frustration. How many of you have been frustrated with something not working out? Most people think frustration is a negative emotion, but in reality, frustration is a gift. Frustration is progress trying to happen. It's your mind telling you you're close, you're pushing, but something needs to change. If you can lean into frustration instead of running from it, it becomes fuel. It becomes the catalyst for a breakthrough. Some of the greatest inventions, businesses, transformations were born out of frustration. And then there's passion. Passion is the ultimate fuel. When you're passionate, you don't need willpower. You don't need someone to remind you of your goals. You don't need discipline to drag yourself forward. Passion pulls you forward. It's energy that comes from within, and it can't be faked. Passion shows up when you align your focus, your meaning, your actions with something that deeply matters to you. The challenge is that most people bury their passion under layers of fear, doubt, and practicality. They talk themselves out of what lights them up because they think it's unrealistic. Without passion, life becomes mechanical. With passion, life becomes electric. Now, here's what's important to understand. You don't have to wait for emotions to show up. You can generate them. Just like you can generate confidence by moving your body a certain way, you can generate gratitude, joy, determination, or love in an instant. How? By directing your focus and changing your physiology. Think about someone you love deeply and put yourself in a posture of love. You'll feel it. Think about a time you overcame something impossible and stand the way you stood in that moment. You'll feel powerful. Emotions don't just visit you. You invite them by what you do with your body and your mind. And once you learn to generate emotions, you stop being a victim of them. You stop saying, I hope today I feel motivated. I hope today I feel confident. You stop hoping, you start creating. That's mastery. That's when you realize that emotions are not random. They are a skill. And like any skill, you can practice them, condition them, and master them. Here's another layer to this. Your emotions are contagious. You're not the only one who feels them. When you walk into a room carrying fear, doubt, or anger, people feel it. You don't even have to say a word. They sense it in your energy. And when you walk in radiating passion, certainty, and joy, people feel that too. That's why some people light up a room when they enter and others drain the energy out of it. It's not magic. It's the emotions they've conditioned themselves to live in. So ask yourself, emotions do you live in most often? Not once in a while, not on your best day. What's your emotional home? Some people live in anger. Some live in worry. Some live in joy. Some live in gratitude. Whatever your emotional home is will shape every decision you make, every action you take, every relationship you have. If your home is fear, you'll hesitate. If your home is love, you'll give freely. If your home is frustration, you'll keep hitting walls. If your home is determination, then, and the good news is you can renovate your emotional home. You can decide from now on, gratitude is my home. From now on, passion is my home. From now on, determination is my home. And every time life tries to drag you back into the old emotions, you can catch it, shift your state, redirect your focus, and step back into the emotions that serve you. Do that consistently. Soon those emotions become automatic, because ultimately emotions are the driving force behind everything. They are the language of the mind. They are the signal that tells you whether you're on the right path or whether you need to adjust. The moment you stop fighting them, stop fearing them, and start using them, you gain access to one of the greatest powers you'll ever have. So don't run from your emotions. Don't bury them. Don't let them own you. Learn to decode them, generate them, and master them, because when you do, your emotions stop being the storm that throws you off course. They become the wind in your sails that carries you exactly where you want to go. The mind is no different than the body. It needs training. People understand this when it comes to physical strength. If you want stronger arms, you don't lift weights one time and expect to be muscular for life. You don't go for a run once and say, great, I'm fit forever. You know it requires consistency. You know you have to train it every day. Push it, stretch it, condition it until it grows. Yet when it comes to the mind, people think one breakthrough is enough. They think one seminar, one book, one conversation is going to change their life forever. And it might spark a change, yes, but without conditioning, the old patterns return and you end up back where you started. Mastering your mind is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's a ritual. It's the decision you make every single day to feed your mind with the thoughts, the emotions, the focus that serve you instead of the ones that destroy you. Just like your muscles shrink. If you stop training, your mindset weakens if you stop feeding it. And if you're not training your mind, life will train it for you. And life doesn't always train in the direction you want. The world is full of negativity, fear, and distraction. If you're not deliberately conditioning your mind, you'll unconsciously condition it with what you consume. That means the news, social media, gossip, comparison, criticism, all of it becomes your daily workout, and your mind ends up trained for weakness instead of strength. So the question is, what are you feeding your mind every single day? You feeding it possibility, hope, gratitude, courage, or you feeding it fear, doubt, scarcity, and excuses? Because whatever you feed grows. If you feed strength, you grow stronger. If you feed weakness, you grow weaker. And it's not once in a while, it's every single day. Think about your morning. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Do you grab your phone, scroll through endless feeds, compare yourself to strangers, let negativity flood your system before you even get out of bed? Or do you take control, breathe deeply, center yourself, and condition your mind for power? That choice is everything. That one moment sets the tone for your day. The tone of your days becomes the tone of your life. Conditioning your mind daily means creating rituals that anchor you in strength. It can be as simple as asking yourself powerful questions the moment you wake up. What am I grateful for right now? Can I be excited about today? Who can I serve today? What's one thing I can do to move closer to the life I want? Those questions direct your focus. And where focus goes, energy flows. If you want better emotions, ask better questions. If you want better actions, give yourself better meanings. That's how you train the mind, by steering it toward the thoughts and emotions that empower you until they become automatic. And it's not just mental, it's physical. Remember, physiology shapes your psychology. If you want to condition your mind, move your body, jump, stretch, breathe with intensity. Do it every single morning. Teach your nervous system what strength feels like. Anchor your emotions into your muscles so that when you stand tall, when you breathe deep, when you move with energy, your mind instantly follows. It's not about hype. It's about wiring your brain to associate power with the way you live. Conditioning your mind also means protecting your environment. You can't train for strength if you spend every day in a gym filled with broken equipment. You can't master your thoughts if you're constantly surrounded by negativity. You spend time with matters. What you listen to matters. What you watch, what you read, what you allow into your head, it all matters. You wouldn't eat garbage every day and expect to feel healthy. So why would you feed your mind garbage every day and expect to feel strong? You have to treat your mind like the most valuable muscle you have, because it is. But here's the challenge. Most people wait until life hits them before they try to build strength. They wait until the crisis, until the breakdown, until the pain, before they start asking, how do I master my mind? But by then, it's too late to start training. You don't wait until the storm hits to start building the boat. You build it before, so that when the storm comes, and it will, you're ready. That's what conditioning does. It prepares you for the inevitable challenges. It makes you unshakable when life tests you, because it's not a matter of if life will test you, it's a matter of when. And when that test comes, the mind you've conditioned daily will be the difference between breaking and breaking through. Think about athletes. The greatest athletes don't train once in a while. They don't only train when they feel like it. They train every day, even when they're tired, even when they're sore, even when they don't want to, because they know the game is coming. And when it comes, they'll rely on their conditioning, not their feelings in the moment. Your life is the same. The game is coming. The pressure is coming. The setbacks, the failures, the losses, they're all coming. The question is, will you be prepared? This is why conditioning your mind daily isn't optional. It's essential. Every morning, you have to prime yourself. You have to train yourself. You have to declare who you are, what you stand for, what you're going to create that day. You have to see it, feel it, believe it before it happens. That's what conditioning does. It builds the mental and emotional muscle that carries you when everything else feels heavy. Because in the end, your results don't come from what you do once in a while. They don't come from what you do when it's easy or when you feel good or when you're motivated. Your results come from what you do consistently every single day, especially on the days when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between those who live empowered lives and those who remain stuck. One group conditions their mind daily. The other group lets life condition it for them. So if you truly want to master your mind, make it a ritual, make it a non-negotiable. Don't leave it a chance. Feed it every day with the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions that serve you. Protect it, train it, stretch it, strengthen it. Condition it like the most important muscle in your body, because it is. And when you do that, when you make that your way of life, you won't just control your mind, you'll command it. You'll turn it into the greatest weapon, the greatest tool, the greatest ally you'll ever have. Because if you don't condition your mind daily, the world will do it for you.